We have an epic return of a former guest coming on the show. Plus, Jets OTAs updates, all that more. Boy Green Daily starts right now.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Lester Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. We're constantly on the move. Again, yesterday, we were almost at a bar. Then we ended up being in an apartment. This time, we're at a hotel in Peabody, Massachusetts. We're in a new city. We're in a new place. What's today? Is today Monday? Let me do a quick check. I believe so. Okay, today is the wedding. I probably should have known that, but that's neither here nor there. So we got the wedding today. That'll be happening. My fiance's brother is getting married. God bless to Tyler and Jen. They're getting married today. Wonderful, but priorities. Got to make sure we get the show in. So excited to be here, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and making sure that we all keep the cogs of the machine moving and grooving here. Let me first start off with this. We have a massive announcement to make here on the program, and why wouldn't we? We have a guest making his return. I will give a specific shout out to one of our Boy Green Coffee Club listeners. That is Luca. Luca reached out publicly. Luca reached out privately. He's like, where is this guest that's been on the show in the past? We need those updates. I've been seeing his tweets. I've been seeing his stories. We want him back. And well, Luca, we've answered your prayers. Nick Faria, will be making it back to the show. He will now be a new regular guest again. So old, new, regular. I'm not really sure what the words work on that, but that'll be happening. So exciting news. Nick Faria will be back. And moving forward, he'll be joining us from the 8 to 9 hour. Every Monday, Nick Faria is a new part of the starting lineup. So we got our Hop on Pops on Saturdays. We got our NFL Insider, Matt Lombardo, on Sundays. And now Nick Faria is our new Monday guest. Again, we'll have 30 minutes to ourselves, and then we will bring Nick Faria in every Monday at 8 o'clock. Very much looking forward to it. Excited to have Nick Faria back. He got a new gig with JetsXFactor.com, being their Jets beat reporter. He still covers the overall NFL and Jets for Athlon Sports. So that is great. So wonderful. I'm glad you guys are liking the volume of my voice as I'm doing the show. We got a lot of people in this hotel. Luckily, there is this common area that's sort of nice, as there's separate rooms for each people. So I don't have to whisper what is happening? But I do get to sort of, be a little bit, I can be a little bit more expansive. So I'll try to work that in. So, Nick Faria will be back every Monday at 8 o'clock. So we'll have him in about 20 minutes on the show. But, and you guys have a lot of funny comments, but I will say this. I promised you guys, okay, that we would do the announcement for who wins our May raffle. It's already June 2nd. What are we waiting for? So let's bring it up here on the big board. All right. Here's our Wheel of Name Picker. Congratulations to everyone that has entered. Any super chats or memberships or anything that comes right now or yesterday is being added to our next prize pool. So I just want to make sure that is perfectly clear. Here it is. Here's the name of Wheel Picker. And look at all this. Jay Boy is our biggest individual representative, but you see all of the other contributions from people like Indy Jets, Dre Correa, Paul Taxter, Aced Up 10, for Lillian Big D, see MFC in here, Jimmy Jets, DNY for Life, Emmanuel Holcomb, Scotty Mayhem, and so many more. I'm excited to say this as well and give a big shout out. Jay Boy obviously is the biggest individual slice of this pie, but he really wanted to take it on himself to make this a record-breaking month for gifting. And while we didn't shatter the initial month, which we did back in the December, January range, this is the biggest raffle throughout the month of May that we've had since the initial start of this raffle. So I want to give a massive salute to Nick Faria. That's super cool, man. Not Nick Faria. Oh, my God. Nick Faria will be joining us. I have his name on my mind. A massive salute, to J-Boy. For really getting all these bidding wars starting and everything else for the gifting. That allows me to do everything that I can do for the show. So, folks, thank you so much. So, without further ado, good luck to all of you. Whoever wins this, again, we'll show the prize pack back on screen. I don't know how this is going to work while we're presenting something at the same time. Here are the prizes again that are up for grabs. Here they are. Boom. We have the New York Jets commemorative game coin that comes with a certificate of authenticity for the National Football League. We have a full-size signature football autographed by the whole team last year. Both these items will go to whoever the individual I draw here. When I get back from all the Massachusetts wedding business, I actually will hit the road tomorrow morning, and I'll immediately collect your shipping information if you don't give it to me before then, and we'll get these prizes out to you, whoever ends up winning this. So best of luck to everybody going on. Yes. So without further ado, good luck to everybody. We're going to spin the wheel of name picker and allow it to fall wherever it falls. Again, to be entered in this contest for the month of June and every contest moving forward, all you have to do is spend $2.99 on the channel. It's just that easy. You can do that with Super Chats. You can do that by joining the Boy Green Coffee Club. You can do it by sharing out memberships to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Any way you do it, that's how it happens. So without further ado, let's do it. Let's click the wheel. Okay, it's spinning. It's spinning. Okay. It's moving. Wow, it's not going to go. It's going to go. Wow. Okay. Contest. So Jimmy Jets, if you are seeing this, congratulations. Terrific. Jimmy Jets, please reach out to me on any social media portal. That can be at BoyGreen25 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or you can just email me, Paul A. Esden, ESDENJR at gmail.com. That is the way to reach out to me. And I just need your first, last name, shipping information, all that jazz, and we will send it to you. So congratulations to Jimmy Jets. There you go. We had a lot of people in here. Again, massive salute to J-Boy. He gave the most of any individual, which is pretty cool. But it goes to show you that even an underdog can win this. So all you do is want a ticket to the dance, and the ticket to the dance gives you that for $2.99. So, Jimmy, looking forward to hearing you. Tom, not a fan of the show. What a crock of BS. This channel is nothing but a babbling brook of advertisements. Never again. No Hetz football. Just ads. Worse than all-day television commercials. Well, I'm sorry, Tom, that you subscribe to the channel and you don't like the content that is provided. Sorry, pal. That's too bad. That's unfortunate. But with that, that's a great segue. Let's get into some Jets football. And the thing I want to get into before we get to Nick Faria coming up at 8 o'clock is I want to get to a couple of things from Rich Cimini's Sunday morning column. We didn't get a chance to really dive into this because Matt Lombardo was joining us yesterday, and then we had Hop on Pop. But there's a couple of interesting notes and quotes from here. And one of the things is that Jet fans probably tweet at me the most or text at me or hit me up on every form of social media is, why isn't Mason Taylor signed? What the hell's going on, Mason Taylor? He is the last rookie that remains unsigned for that remains signed. You know what? That's a good point. Before we go any further, I think this is a good point. Tom, with what he is not appreciating with the show, it's time for BMAC to have some help, some love, some company in the grinders. So now, well, that's exactly where Tom's going. Okay. Troy, I saw you ask for it, so here we go. Tom is going straight into the grinder.
You mess with Kurt and you go into the grinder.
Okay, now this grinder of yours, is it a real grinder or is it some kind of a metaphor?
That's it. You're gone. Adios. TKO'd. Historical.
Wait. I won't be funny no more, see?
Security.
You ain't got to bring the man down here. Wait a second. Kurt, come on, please. I need this job,
Take
Kurt.
out the trash.
Trash? Oh, now look at here.
So get this news out of my face.
Tom, you're now in the grinder for 24 hours. Hopefully, this lack of content on the show does not bother you for the next 24 hours. So, thank you, Tom. So sorry. Yeah, Brian, put him in the grinder. Easy. Put him in the grinder. Troy Sturgis, Tom, go into the grinder. And by the way, real quick, if we're just going to really evaluate the questions of advertisements. What advertisements are on the show? There's no sponsor. There's no presenting anything. What advertisement is on the program? I'm thinking you guys were gifting me. If anything, it's an advertisement of the fans. Which again is somewhat confusing. I'm not sure I understand. So, but anywho, Tom, we'll see you in 24 hours, pal. Thank you. There we go. All right, now let's get to some New York Jets content. Inconvenient for Tom now that we're getting into it. He just got thrown into the grinder, but hey, that's how it works, pal. Sorry. All right, let's go back to it. Other people were like, throw me in the grinder. You people are sick. All right, let's go to it. Mason Taylor remains unsigned. He's the only Jets rookie that remains unsigned. And we've been sort of wondering, like, well, why isn't Mason Taylor signed? What's going on here? And the fact of the matter is that Rich Cimini revealed it. Here's his quote from his story coming on Sunday. Second-round pick Mason Taylor, quote, still hasn't signed his rookie contract, but he's in the majority. As of Friday, only 2 of the 32 picks of the second round are under contract. As usual, the amount of guaranteed money is the primary sticking point. The top 2 picks in the round, Cleveland Browns linebacker Carson Schwessinger and Houston Texans wide receiver Jaden Higgins, reportedly received fully guaranteed deals. Those are the first fully guaranteed contracts for second-round picks. Taylor was the 10th pick in the round. He's still participating in offseason practices. Now, let's sort of unpack that in its complete everything, okay? Let's sort of wrap that around all together, if we can. Number one, here's the good news from it. Mason Taylor is still working out and participating in the Jets offseason training programs. Just look at, and I referenced this in the story that I wrote about this last night, real quick, is that when you look at it, Shamar Stewart, the Cincinnati Bengals, first-round pick, 17th overall, he's in participating in bump kits. I mean, he ain't participating in nothing until his contract situation gets figured out. He's holding out. He's like, nah, I'm good. And again, technically it's voluntary, and the mandatory stuff doesn't start for the Jets for another 8 days. But in this particular case, right, you have Shamar Stewart who's like, fuck you guys, give me my contract or I'm not practicing. Mason Taylor hasn't said that at all, despite the fact that he's not signed. And by the way, players have this insurance. For those who don't know, if you're playing and participating without a contract, you have like an insurance thing with the team, so you are covered. But still, Mason Taylor is practicing, and that's the good news, is that despite all this going on, he doesn't care. Thank God, because again, that's not guaranteed. Look at Shamar Stewart and the Bengals. Okay, so. To me, I just think that's something to keep an eye out for. So that's what I would say about it. So that's good news. Now, the guaranteed money thing, this is where we get into some funky territory, right? So the first 2 picks of the second round, you heard that Carson Schwessinger and Jaden Higgins, they get something that no other second-round pick in the history of has ever gotten in terms of these fully guaranteed deals. So the rest of the second rounders are looking like, well, I'm ready to make that history. The Jets and the other NFL teams in the second round have not been willing to acquiesce yet. So that'll be sort of curious what that ends up being. It's some level of semantics. In some ways, because you want to hope that Mason Taylor is a big piece of the team moving forward. So who cares about a 4 years fully guaranteed? But I would understand that, these teams want to be careful because, especially the Jets with guys like Devin Smith, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore. I mean, Stephen Hill, we can go through that list, unfortunately, and it's a graveyard of bodies. Okay. It's a graveyard of bodies there for the second round. absolute graveyard of bodies. So, it doesn't always, work out. So maybe the Jets are fighting for the right to party here, but it's really cool, at least for me to see that old Mason Taylor here is still practicing despite that going on. So we'll see how that continues to develop. Here's a guy that is apparently creating a little bit of buzz here. According to Rich Cimini, called him an early sleeper. A rookie to watch is punt returner Jamal Pritchett. He's an undrafted free agent from South Alabama. He's a smaller guy, listed at 5'8", 175 pounds, had a 4.42 40-yard dash. Apparently, he's doing a quote-unquote phenomenal job. I was listening to the press conference for Chris Banjo. I had to catch up on that late. Chris Banjo was asked, shout out to Antoine Staley of the New York Daily News, he was asked to assess the returner room. Now, the first name he mentioned is Xavier Gibson, who I know is not as popular with the fans right now, but he mentioned Xavier Gibson. He brought up Jamal Pritchett doing a really awesome job. So there's sort of a battle going on there. Looks like Xavier's the favorite at this point in the return room, which can sort of define his roster spot. I don't know how he fits into the wide receiver room, talking about X, but the return game is how he could potentially make the roster. Now, I'm hoping the Jets do a little bit better because I was going into some of Xavier Gibson's analytics from both a punt and kick returning perspective. I think there's more meat on that bone, and X has been sort of downhill. Now, he was a victim of his own success, right? He's a undrafted free agent out of Stephen F. Austin. He makes the Jets. There was the Hard Knocks year, so they covered him making the Jets along with Jason Brownlee on the 53-man roster. His first game as a pro, he has a 65-yard overtime winner against the Buffalo Bills, and we all go, holy friggin' crap, and it looks like this great success and everything else from that perspective. But, so he had this bar that was set immediately so high, and then it's all been sort of downhill from there. I mean, he got a lot of offensive snaps in his rookie year. It really fell off last year, and it's been sort of a mess. But Gibson does have the head start. That doesn't necessarily mean he will end up with the returner job once we fast forward a couple of months. But he currently holds it. But Jamal Pritchett is a guy to watch, according to Rich Cimini, my boy. I love the smaller guys. As a fellow vertically challenged individual, it's good to see for Jamal Pritchett. Now, I will say this. Let me make sure I get this up here on the New York Jets roster. Let's see if they fix this, because I wrote a story about this semi-recently. So let me see this. Okay, they did fix it. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of these UDFAs. Let me see if that weight is still on there, if it was a different player, because, again, we will have an update on a lot of these weights, or we should anyway. Ahead of mandatory minicamp on that Monday, Tuesday, there's physicals coming in for all these players. So we should get an update on several of these weights, which I think will help a great deal. Let me see. I wanted to double check this one weight we had here. Let me see if I can find this real quick on the 235. Yeah, I guess that was just him. So, okay. All right. Yeah, I think they corrected it. It was a typo. Sometimes they have that. Like, for instance, Brandon Stevens is signed. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to be a safety. Then he's at corner. Then he's back to safety. So it was probably a mess up, because it looked like Jamal Pritchett put on like an insane amount of weight. And I was like, what the hell? And now it looks like it's back to 175. So I thought I saw a ridiculous amount of weight, and I was like, Jesus. All right, so they did fix that. By the way, random news: DJ Dirty Cooch. I've been seeing this because one of my other jobs I have is working with the Syracuse Mets. They're the AAA affiliate of the New York Mets. So I do baseball updates on air in between games sometimes. Jesus, it's the Colorado Rockies, just like when you think of last season where the Chicago White Sox are so awful. You're like, I can't get worse than that. And then you see the Colorado Rockies record, you're like, ooh, Lord, have mercy. So, yeah, that's rough. That's putting for the rough. So, yeah, that is there as well. All right, let's answer some comments here as we're going through it. Oh, yeah, Taylor Sterling. There you go. Kane Nguanu. He says, what about Kane Nguanu? He's in the race. I think he's still recovering. I'll have to see. I don't think I've seen him at practice, but it's voluntary, I guess. He broke his wrist, broke his hand, one of the two at the tail end of last season. So, right, he has a great success. So here's the thing. The Jets had him on the roster basically all year long. They didn't use him. Eventually, like, all right, let's give this Kene Nguanu guy a chance, which, by the way, is a former All-Pro returner, but that's neither here nor there. They finally bring him in, and he immediately makes an impact. And Jet fans are like, dude, you should have been using him all year. And the Jets are like, oh, I don't know. And all of a sudden he breaks his hand or wrist or something, and then he's out. And you're like, Jesus. Like, if you just would have brought this guy up, who knows what kind of impact he could have had. So Kene is in there as well. But no, the first name, I'm hearing everyone saying Kene. The first name that Chris Banjo, our new Jet special teams coordinator, brought up is Xavier Gibson. And the only thing I would say is, I don't know, because I have not been at OTAs. I guess I'll double check and ask Nick in like 10 minutes. I don't know if Kene Nguanu is back at practice. He broke his wrist. He could be, but they did not mention his name when they were going through the names. Maybe they're keeping it under wraps. I'm not sure. That's neither here nor there, I suppose. DJ Dirty Cooch says, oh, yeah, cool. I've played in that Syracuse Stadium before. It's historic NBT Bank Stadium for those counting at home. Played left field, had a ball bounce over my head on that AstroTurf. Had to chase it all the way to the wall. Oof. Yeah, that could be a tough one. That could be a tough one. Yeah. But I love that. Ricky, New York Live is like, BG, the Rockies are 9-50. Who do they have pitching? Shador. That's funny. That's funny. Taylor Starling says, would love to see Kene Nguanu get a few carries. Dude is fast. I would say with Tanner Engstrand's history, rather, with creativity and things of that nature. Hopefully they do. They didn't really use him a lot at all. I don't know if they did use him at all on offense last year. He has ridiculous talent. Now, I'm not saying you give him 30 carries a game or something like that. He's sort of a ceremonial running back in a lot of ways. Like Justin Hardy was technically a corner, but we never saw him at corner. He had like one defensive snap through his 3 years with the Jets. And Kene Nguanu, I don't know if he's going to be shattering records from that perspective, but I think there are some creative ways you can sort of get him involved in the game. So we'll see if Tanner Engstrand can do a lot of that. That'd be a lot of fun. Personally, I would love to see Kene Nguanu take Xavier Gibson's job. I don't like rooting for guys' job to get stolen, but you know, the Xavier Gibson thing has been a tough watch. A tough watch if you put, again, the first game moment was awesome. I watch that play every once in a while. Joe Buck's call. He does a great job on the call, but you know, I don't know. I just don't know what's going to be going on there. DJ, because we talked about this yesterday on the show, is Atlanta keep Pitts. I mean, we're so late in the process. You would think if a team wanted him, like they'd move in groups. They have him as a full part of the team before training camp. Again, training camp's still in another 6 weeks or something, but man, you would just really think that a team would move and groove. So probably Pitts stays on the Falcons. Unless they're blown away with an offer, why would they be? Since the last year's deal doesn't make a lot of sense. He's probably going to stay put. Troy Sturgis here. Would love to see a creative offense. Jets have been lacking this for so long. It is true. It is true. Plus, today, which just randomly hit me, today is June 2nd. The Jets just received $22.7 million in cap space. Let me see if the cap space was updated here. Let me take a gander at this. Let's see if they updated the cap space here on Over the Cap. And yes, they did. Here is this. Whoa, mamacita, folks. Thank you for someone bringing up the fact that it was June 2nd. It just sparked it in me. So the Jets have a surge of new cap space. They now have the fourth most cap space in the National Football League, baby. Look at this. Let's throw this up. Thank you for whoever just somehow just hit me because, like, I'm on the road, so my brain is not working as it normally has. All right, let's get rid of the ads. See? Sorry, Tom. I'm trying to get rid of the ads for you. There's a lot of ads on the screen. Let me move some of these over for you. All right, let's zoom in on this so you guys can get a better look. See. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, geez. Too far. Let me see. There we go. All right, so here's our updated cap space. The Jets now have the fourth most cap space in the National Football League after the surge of money they got from C.J. Mosley and Aaron Rodgers. So the Patriots still have the most, $67 million. 49ers, $53 million. Lions, $40.1 million. Jets, $36.7 million. Fourth most cap space in the National Football League, which could lead us to this question. We'll ask Nick Faria this in a minute. What do the Jets want to do with this money? Is there something to do? What do we do with the extra cap space? Do we extend Sauce and Garrett? You could put a lot of money on the books now, to sort of front load it and utilize this cap space. The Jets could, again, we talked about contract extensions. Could there be an injury fund? You're just sort of like, hey, if some free agent or trade opportunity opens itself up, some people mentioned Kyle Pitts, but maybe at a more serious position that you need help with, maybe that's what you use the piggy bank for. That could make a lot of sense. But they have the fourth most cap space in the National Football League right now based on the new money. So they are overflowing with moolah. But what do they do with said moolah? We'll have to ask that to Nick Faria here in just a few minutes, which we will do. Again, Nick Faria will be joining us. It will be his new spot every Monday. He used to join us every Wednesday. He'll now join us here every Monday. And he had some OTA reports. He's been at several of the practices, which has been great. So here we go. Give the link over here to Nick. Okay. All right. Let's give that to Nick Faria. Beautiful. So Nick will be joining us here in just a few minutes, but I'd love to ask him that question. What do we do? What do we do? I guess I'll ask it to the fans. We have 300 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. Let's go. Let's go. Brian Farrell, is it me or does last season feel so long ago already? It does. I don't think it's just you. And it's because I think a lot of it, Brian, if I am to be honest, and thank you for being a Boyd Green Coffee Club member, I think a lot of it is the difference. And the difference is we have a brand new quarterback, we're a brand new head coach, brand new general manager. There's just been a lot that's happened this offseason. A lot of the other teams, it does not happen like that. Hep says, what the hell are the Patriots doing? Here's the thing, and I love bringing this up. A lot of people rejected New England. Right? They said, ooh, we want T. Higgins. He's like, nah. And all the Brandon Ayuk, nah. Who are all these others? Calvin Ridley, suck it, New England. All these teams told New England to suck it when they tried to light money on fire. And a lot of these free agents told free agents / people that could have been traded there, DK Metcalf, suck it, New England. I love it. I love as New England's getting rejected by everyone at the dance. Hey, do you want to dance? No. So, yeah, they've just had a lot of money to burn. That's basically the point. And the point is, and again, the funny part I find is no one wanted to dance with them. They didn't want now, some people did, and some people will, naturally. Hey, here's $1 kajillion. Do you want to play here? Well, I really didn't, but $1 kajillion is $1 kajillion. Sure, I'm in. And then it jumps in. So, it sort of depends. Let's take some other suggestions. Incel Alon is saying, hey, Jadeveon Clowney, I would love that signing. That's a great possibility being brought up on the screen. I love Jadeveon Clowney. Thank you for that on YouTube. We could use a third edge rusher for sure. Let's see what other things you guys believe it is. Luca gives us the 1-2-3 punch. Number one, extend Garrett Wilson. I'm all for that. Garrett Wilson should be extended. Let's extend him because the price of receivers is only going to get higher. And I think all of us believe that Garrett Wilson is not a bust. I think we can all concur on that. And since he's not a bust, that means he's going to be at either the level he's at, which has been pretty good, or a higher level, which we all hope. And that's going to be more expensive. So sign him. Agree. Extend Sauce. Sauce has been an all-pro in 2 of his first 3 years. He was a top 5 pick. He's more than lived up to the billing of being a top 5 pick for the New York Jets. Why wouldn't you want Sauce? And I want Sauce long-term. I want him to be a foundational piece for this team moving forward. And I don't care about the semi-down year last year. Aaron Glenn's going to get the best out of him. I have no doubts. Luka is a pro Scotty Mayhem guy. Sign Keenan Allen. Add another receiver to the room. There's a lot of unknown about this Jets wide receiver room. Obviously, we have the 2 physical wide receivers and Josh Reynolds, obviously. Alan Lazard. We got a lot of youngsters, Tyler Johnson, Xavier Gibson, Arian Smith, Nick Faria, a massive Arian Smith guy, which I'm very much looking forward to diving into him with. He has been singing his sweet praises from the skies of yesteryear. And I want to hear, what is he seeing that is so impressive? That's great. But this is a good plan. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. There you go. Very nice. Jets gained $13.5 million by releasing Aaron Rodgers, TJ Mosley. I think it's more than that, but either way, basically what they're doing is splitting the cap hit. So the Jets are going to have to eat a lot of cap next year, and it's a lot. Like Aaron Rodgers is like a $35 million dead cap hit, and CJ Mosley is like another 7.65 if I remember correctly. So they have to eat $42 million with two players who ain't going to be there. Like, Jesus, unbelievable. So yeah, it's crazy. Tony Alexio says a fatty DT to stop the run. That'd be great. I don't know if any of them are out there though. That's the unfortunate part. That's the unfortunate part. I'm not sure. But what to do with the extra cap space? That's a fair question. It's a fair question. Let me see. Yeah, the money coming is great. Now, the Jets, for me, yeah, here comes the money. Here we go. Money talks. Money. You know, it's good to have the money. But the key part is what to do with the money. I think the Jets need to they shouldn't just create it and let it expire. Then thus getting the money in the first place had nothing to do with anything, which we'll get back to here in just a second, because that'll be one of our top questions for our returning guest. Cue the Rocky montage music. He is back from the fans were asking about him. I said, all right, you crazy bastards. I will reach out to this man and try to get him back on the show. He's a popular guy. NFL reporter for Athlon Sports. He's the Jets beat reporter for Jets X Factor. He's been at all these OTAs, giving us all the juicy updates that we so desperately seek. Let's have a very warm welcome for a returning fighter to the octagon. This is Nick Faria. Will be joining us every Monday at this very time slot. Let's bring him in. Nick, welcome back to the program, my friend.
Yeah, of course. Great to be back, Paul. Great to be back.
Well, let's dive in immediately, and we'll go into, as I was sort of just going through the beginning of the show, someone just said, oh, yeah, it's June 2nd, and then it just hit me. Oh, June 2nd. Oh, boom, the Jets' money just cleared. Let's see where they're at in cap space, and they now, with all the rest of the teams, pre-June 1 designation countings and things of that nature, and perhaps any other moves that may be coming, came in the last 24 hours and to come in the next 24 hours of new money coming in. The Jets have the fourth most cap space in the NFL. I ask you, Nick Faria, what are they going to do with it?
Well, there's three options. I kind of broke it down on one of my sites. Guys, check it out on Twitter if you want. But there's three essential options. One, they can look to use that money to expand and extend some of their young core, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. Keep an eye on Elijah Vera-Tucker as well, because you have two offensive guards that are really, really good, and John Simpson and AVT, and both need new contracts. So both of those guys are in contention as well. They could push that money off to 2026, when they also have to pay Will McDonald and Joe Tippmann, those kind of guys. So you're going to have to make a decision in regards to that. Or they could say, screw it, we don't really need to do this right now. Let's go and build this team out. Let's add some high-priced talent, whether it's an Amari Cooper, whether it's a Justin Simmons, whether it's an edge rusher like Von Miller. If you want to bring in a veteran, you absolutely have the cap space to do so. The one thing that I do want to make sure that everyone understands is that if you were to extend a guy like Garrett Wilson or a Sauce Gardner, most of those cap hits are not going to be seen right away. So even if the Jets go out and say, okay, we're going to agree on a 5-year extension, 3-year, 4-year, whatever it is, that extension is going to be after the 5th-year option year. So it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. It would kick off the following year after that. So I believe in 2027. So it's a clear distinction, because you can sort of push off that larger cap hit until the absolute last moment you need to worry about it. It's a way that teams are trying to manipulate the cap right now. A lot of teams do run with that plan. So really three options to me. The one that makes the most sense is expanding this young core, getting these guys locked up for the long-term future. Sauce, Garrett Wilson, I mentioned AVT, I mentioned John Simpson. Get these guys on contracts for a long-term, so you can be prepared to run this group continuously with proper coaching involved.
I agree with you. A lot of great options there on the table, and there has to be some forethought for what you said. I wrote about that a couple of months ago, saying, guys, we've got to sort of pay attention to this, because we're not at all. AVT, last year's deal, $15.3 million. It would behoove them to extend him, lower that cap hit, lock in one of your guards, because then you're going to have some big boy decisions. Both starting guards are free agents, and you only have one franchise tag to use, plus everybody else that's going to be a free agent. That can sort of get dicey from that perspective. Now, it's important that you noted what you just noted. Sauce, Garrett, and Jermaine had their 5th-year options exercised, which means they're under contract for 2025 and 2026. They're not free agents until 2027. So you work those years into the years of whatever you would build in a contract. I'm curious, Nick, Does this mean anything, what I'm about to say, or is this just complete hoopla, garbaggio? You can just throw it out with the trash here. Is there anything to be said about potentially utilizing this? So you extend Sauce and all these guys. I 100% agree. But then front loading the shit out of these deals. So let me make sure I've got the right number here. The Jets have 36 million right now, fourth most in the National Football League, of like eating a bunch of money initially and say, hey, we got the cap space to use now. Aaron Glenn believes in the team he's sort of constructed, says, I don't need a Jadeveon Clowney or anything like that. Let's just extend our guys and front load it, utilize this money that we have floating right now on those deals. So like sort of moving the money up ahead of time to eat your veggies, take your medicine, and then it'll open up things in the future, and that will give flexibility when maybe some of your stars uniquely have lower cap hits as opposed to going the other way around. Is there any sense to potentially do that, or is that the stupidest thing you've ever heard?
It's an interesting concept. A lot of teams don't really build their contracts out that way because they look at the NFL cap rising exponentially every single year and say, we can back deals, and they're really not going to cost a lot to begin with. So most teams do not try to front load it. They try to back load it so that way they can get those players the highest potential and then sort of restructure moving forward. They add void years to lower the cap hit. There's a lot of different things that a team can do overall. But I'm glad you mentioned AVT. I'm glad you mentioned Simpson as well again, because that debate is going to be very interesting because AVT, he's had a lot of injury problems. Simpson had a very big breakout season last year. It would not surprise me one bit if the Jets were to say to him, we're going to let you play out this year, show that you can stay healthy, show that you can play at a high level all season, and then we'll give you that lucrative contract extension. That's not out of the realm of possibility either. Just because the Jets are going to go into next February and they don't have a deal for AVT does not mean they're not going to have a deal at some point during the year. So even if they aren't able to agree to contracts with some of these guys, there's no reason to panic because there is a full month-long period of teams that are able to negotiate with their own and get an agreement done. So there's a lot of flexibility here for the Jets. There's a lot of flexibility in general, and it really just comes down to Muji and Glenn. The previous regime, they didn't really want to extend players before they had to, and it really got them into some sticky situations. You look at the Bryce Huff situation. Obviously, it looks like a great idea now, the fact that Bryce Huff is now on his third team in as many years, but they let him walk for nothing. You get a compensatory pick, and that was it. It really wasn't a solid overall blueprint to how to build a roster. You want to keep your own and extend them before they sort of have their breakout campaign. So that's why most GMs nowadays, they look to extend their talent, their young talent, earlier before they actually have to. We don't know if Muji and Glenn subscribe to that line of thinking. Not every general manager does. But in my opinion, I think, Paul, you would agree, and most people would agree, it makes sense to have Garrett Wilson on a 3-year, $90 million deal where he's paid $30 million, because that number is going to go up, and that number is going to continue to go up. It would be the same thing for Sauce Gardner. If you can get him at $30 million, it's a really, really good deal because the cornerback market's going to continue to explode. So these are positions of high value. You want to keep good players of high value at those kind of positions, but you have to make sure that you're doing so in a way that is beneficial to the team.
Yeah, we talked about that right before you came on. And I wish I could bring every Jets fan because for some it's split. Don't pay this guy now. Don't pay this guy now when we're talking Saucer here. And I wish we could just bring all Jet fans and we're just sitting one-on-one here and we're looking at each other. And I say, okay, let me ask you a question. Is Sauce Gardner a bust? And then they go, well, no. Okay, is Garrett Wilson a bust? Well, no. Do you believe that suddenly the talent's just going to leave this guy? Like all of a sudden he's not going to be who they are? Well, no, I don't think that at all. Then why are we questioning whether to pay them? You look at both these guys who are top 10 picks. Sauce Gardner was a first-team All-Pro in 2 of his first 3 years. So suddenly Monstars are going to come. He's going to sap his powers, and that's not going to work. That doesn't make any sense. So these guys are either going to stay at the same level, which, by the way, the level's been pretty good, or get better. I think a lot of us would hope they're going to get better. So that's what I don't understand with the Jets thought process of, let's wait on this. Maybe this will get less expensive. And if it does, that means you failed as a coaching staff because you've marginalized the development of this great talent. You should hope that they're going to get better. And we did a great job with identifying this and all this, and we should be paying them. So yeah, that to me, I just don't understand.
That was a
So
and that
yes, I think it's only going to get more expensive.
and that was a previous regime problem, in my opinion. They didn't really want to extend players before they had to deal with it. And I think it was really surprising that they kind of went with that line of thinking, because if you look at Joe Douglas and who he was hired by, Ozzie Newsome, you have Howie Roseman. These are guys that extend players early. They are the poster child for that kind of thing. You get these players under those contracts early, and you're actually going to be underpaying these players. Devontae Smith makes $25 million a year. Is he worth $25 million? Of course not. I'm sure he's probably around that $30 million mark. But the Eagles got him for $5 million cheaper because they agreed to a deal very early in the process.
Mhm.
That is sort of the mindset the Jets should be having with Garrett Wilson and with Sauce Gardner, and I would argue even with AVT and John Simpson. Get these deals done now before the contract negotiations balloon to epic proportions. Listen, there are a lot of teams that have very bad offensive lines, and they are willing to overpay for offensive linemen, particularly guards. Over the last 5 years, you have seen the guard market explode. Look at this past year as a perfect example. These guys are making $15-20 million a year, and they're nowhere near Pro Bowl level talents.
Mm-hmm.
You get these deals done now, you don't have to worry about it. You let it wait, and all of a sudden, those AVT contracts, if he has a big year, could be looking at 19, 20, 21 million, and sort of resetting the market in that way. So it's very important for the Jets to be able to get a foot in that door. We don't know how this new regime is going to think about this. It's still very early in the process.
Sure.
Remind everyone that Quinnen Williams signed his extension at the middle of the offseason after mandatory minicamp, or I think it was like right before/during. But it was right in that window of really kind of nothing before. I could certainly see something like this happen. The beauty is everyone's in attendance. The fact that these guys, Sauce, AVT, Garrett Wilson, they're all in attendance for OTAs in a voluntary sort of practice regimen is very, very important, because that shows they are all buying into this new regime, and they're sort of saying, listen, we are acting in good faith here. We're willing to practice. We're willing to do all these different things, but we would certainly like to be paid among the top young players in this sport. And listen, all the power to them. Not many cornerbacks are two-time All-Pros. Not many wide receivers have had to deal with the things that Garrett Wilson has had to deal with. So they have earned this money. It's just a matter of when they eventually get it.
And plus, we also mentioned this on the show, I believe it was yesterday. Let's say you give Garrett Wilson that deal you just said, 3 years, $90 million, $30 million per year. He'd be like a top 7, top 8, highest paid wide receiver in football in that $30 million per year. That is going to age like a fine wine, because all these other crazy bastards are going to be paying receivers left and right, and all of a sudden he's going to go from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and he's just going to start dropping. And you're going to be like, ooh, that deal was pretty nice. And I think that's going to make a lot of sense. Again, we're speaking Nick Faria, our NFL reporter from Athlon Sports, also Jets repeater for Jets beat reporter for JetsXFactor.com. He's been in a lot of these OTAs. I want to go back to the guard conversation real quick, and you tell me this. Do the Jets have to make a choice between one or the other of ABT or John Simpson, who are both free agents next year? Or is there a world where they can't keep both in your mind?
I'm going to use my Hispanic background. ¿Por qué no los dos? Why? Why not both? Seriously,
I love it.
You have great players. You want to extend them. And when you have a great offensive line, letting one walk because you don't want to pay all 5, I think, is foolish. It really is. And you look at some of the great offensive lines in the NFL, when you have consistent continuity, it really helps. Look at the Buffalo Bills. The offensive line has been consistent now for 5 years. They have been in the AFC Championship game twice, two times, 3 times during that span. Yes, they seem to can't get by the Chiefs, but that's a lot of different teams right now. It's not just them. So I look at it as a way of, if you have 5 offensive linemen like the Jets do, you're not looking for ways to cut corners. You're looking to keep those guys together and developing one of the best in football. This group has the potential to be a top 5, top 10 group in the league this year. Imagine what's going to happen in a couple of years when these guys get a little older, a little more experienced. You could be looking at the best offensive line in football that is better than the likes of Detroit or Philadelphia or Kansas City. So I look at where this situation is for the Jets. It's not a matter of choosing between Simpson or AVT. It's, okay, how do we get both of them under contract as soon as possible?
Yeah, and I hope the Jets have that same mentality as they're looking at it. They got a really good thing here. Hopefully, they can keep it going from that perspective on some of those guards. Just a quick question. I don't know if you can answer this. You've been at a lot of these OTAs, and it came up earlier with another question we were talking about. Have you seen Kane Nguanu at Jets OTAs?
Yes, I've seen it a couple times. He's been in the rotation through running backs and a couple of special team stuff.
Oh, okay. So he's been participating. That's the one thing I was going to ask because Chris Banjo, when he spoke to you guys, Antoine Staley, I believe, is the one who asked the question about, kind of assess your returners that you currently have. And he mentioned a lot of names. And the first name he mentioned was Xavier Gibson. I said, oh, man, Xavier Gibson's likely he has the head start on the rest of this group as potentially being that guy. And a lot of people mentioned Kane Nguanu, who I love a lot. I'm like, he broke like his hand or wrist at the end of last year, so I wasn't sure on the rehab on that one.
Yeah, no, he's been practicing. I think the one thing that's always important is we make sure that this is a competition. And this is very early in the competition. So we may see a little bit of Nguanu. We may see a little bit of Xavier Gibson. They also mentioned the 4th-round pick, Arian Smith. So you have all these different guys that are going to be competing for all these different roles. If he doesn't mention him on one particular practice in the middle of OTAs, I don't think it means that much, at least at this point in the offseason program.
All right. You brought up his name, and we must bring him up here on the show. You have made me and several Jet fans as well, so excited about this man currently on your screen. Arian gosh darn Smith, baby. The Deshaun Jackson comps have been a lot of fun. I loved watching Deshaun Jackson play, and obviously you have all your connections with both Jets and Eagles. So, I mean, shoot, if we could get half of a Deshaun Jackson, that would be a wonderful place to be. So, Nick Faria, why are you so excited? I could tell in your tweets just the passion in which you speak of it, and we're like, wow, because there's so many questions about this guy when he got drafted. Connor Rogers, NBC Sports, and everywhere else, he said like a massive reach. I had this guy in the 6th round. He doesn't know how to play the wide receiver position. Like, he was lining this guy up, and he wasn't the only one. A lot of people were questioning the pick and the drops and all this other stuff. What have you seen from him that has got you obviously so tantalized and excited about this prospect?
Oh, it's Deshaun. When Deshaun came out in 2008, I obviously had a front row seat to watching him early on in his career. And the one knock on him was he doesn't catch passes very well, not the best route runner, but he is just an absolute weapon on the football field. He had more experience on special teams than Arian Smith did. But the way that I saw Arian Smith run routes in rookie camp and in OTAs, it was if I was transported back into 2008. And yes, the drops are a concern. The route running is a concern. You want to make sure both are ready if you want to rely on him in any way, shape, or form going into this following season and this rookie year and beyond. But he's a great kid. You listen to him talk to reporters. You listen to him talk in general. He's a great kid who understands what he has to do to improve, has to do to show he is worthy of being an NFL player. And the way that I look at it, as a player like this, we all need to acknowledge, and I've made this point very clear in my articles, it's very early. He needs to show that he can play in pads. For him specifically, it's a clear distinction because he is so fast, he is so athletic, he's also short, he's also kind of a little skinny. So you want to make sure that he can survive against some of the physical receivers. But we also saw him against A.Z. Thomas, and there was one particular route in last practice on Thursday where this guy's at least 5-6 yards in front of AC. If the ball's in front, that's a touchdown, and the ball was just overthrown. And it was kind of like, okay, the quarterback didn't know how fast he was and sort of overcompensated in that way. And, speed matters in the NFL. It always will. So if he comes out and he's playing the Jameson Williams role where he's getting 5 to 10 touches a game, or he's the returner, or he's this, or he's that, the Jets are going to have one of the fastest receivers in football, and that's not really something they've had at their disposal. Garrett Wilson is very fast. No one's denying that, but they haven't had a true deep threat that you can rely on time in and time out to throw the ball 50 yards downfield, and he can go up and make a play. This is a guy I think was a little underrated because of the issues he had, not just in terms of catching the football, but in terms of injuries as well during college. But we have to remember, he led Georgia in receiving last year. He's not some guy that didn't do anything. He has some inconsistency problems, but he's also working on it. And when you see a young player like that working on it and showing these kinds of raw skills, it's very hard to look past and say, man, we'll wait to see what happens. It's easy to get excited over a player like this because the comps are there, man. He ran one dig route on Thursday, and I said to myself, it's like I'm watching Deshaun again, except he's wearing 81 or whatever number Smith is wearing now.
82, right? Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, again, this is incredibly tantalizing. Now let's go to this. I heard Philliam say that he called this after the draft that this was going to happen. When you look at the Arian Smith bio, he didn't return kicks or punts that I saw at Georgia. He apparently did do it in high school, but he didn't do it at all in college. And all of a sudden, he's quickly worked himself now into the return conversation. Is that because he's been performing so well? They're like, man, how else can we try to find ways to get this guy the ball? Is that sort of what inspired his involvement now in the return game with Chris Banjo?
Well, yeah. So when we talked to Banjo on Thursday, he kind of explained it. It wasn't necessarily something that was sort of pre-planned, but in those conversations with players, competition happens. Oh, I'm already doing this. I'm already returning kicks. Might as well try to do this. And it sort of sparked from there where Smith was attempting and trying, and now he's starting to see that there's some talent there. He can certainly potentially return punts and return kicks, and we'll see what happens. And I think if you're looking for a particular role where you want Arian Smith to be in, outside of just a receiver that's getting a couple touches here and there, it's as a returner. You cannot teach this type of speed that this kid has. And if he's able to put it all together, the sky is the limit. It really is. If he solves these drop issues, you make him probably one of the more exciting players in the AFC East and AFC in general. He's that fast. It's really rare to have a player like this.
Man, and maybe, again, because this is the regime's first draft together, obviously with Darren Bucci and Aaron Glenn, maybe they are the ones that are going to be having, again, this last laugh of everyone laughing about them on this pick, and it maybe turning around the other way. That would be fascinating to see if that comes out. I want to sort of give you the floor here on people, because you've been at, obviously, several of these OTA practices, and you've written these great reports and articles that I'm trying to absorb. I'm trying to just slap the article on my head and see if it's like, it just sort of, osmosis or however that works, and all of a sudden I'm absorbing it. But let's hear it from your mouth. Who are people that have just drawn your attention during OTAs?
It's really easy to say Will McDonald. He looks bigger. He looks faster. He's a player that I think could really break out again this year. Again, hard to break out when you have a 10-sack season the year prior.
Right.
Consistency in his skill set, in his abilities, I think is very important. And certainly something that you're seeing early on. You mentioned before Quentin Skinner, the undrafted free agent. I thought he's had a couple of really solid practices. Arian Smith as well. Mason Taylor has jumped out a ton in terms of being a receiving threat at tight end. He has not wowed at this point. Most people do not at the tight end position this early. But I do like the fact that he continues to get open. I think he's going to be a very, very potentially perfect weapon in New York's offense based on what Justin Fields is as a quarterback. He loves targeting the tight ends. I think Taylor and him could really make a really strong rapport going into this season. I do like what I've seen from A.Z. Thomas in short spurts. Yes, I mentioned that he did get burned by Arian Smith at one time, but that's not really his game. He's a press corner. He's a physical corner. If he's running stride for stride with some of these athletic freaks, that's a completely different conversation. I also think he's more of a developmental guy moving forward. And that does bring me to Brandon Stevens. Wrote an article about him yesterday. You see it in practice, that physicality, that blend of zone and man coverage. Plays both, I think, very, very well. He was an underrated piece. A lot of people didn't like the contract that the Jets gave him, but he's a starter. And it really looks like he is fully entrenched as a legitimate option aside from Sauce Gardner. I think he's going to be a very solid piece for this Jets defense. Some of the other guys you mentioned, Armand Membu, the 7th overall pick, he's been quiet. And that is all you can ask for a tackle.
Amen.
And you have to talk about Justin Fields. The one thing about Fields that everyone in Chicago and Pittsburgh said is he holds the ball too long. And you are seeing that here at OTAs. Now, the side glass half full approach is he's learning a brand new offense. He's learning new receivers. Of course, that's going to happen. He wants to make sure he's going through his reads the correct way before he throws the football. And once he understands this playbook, he'll be able to make decisions a little faster. So that's the kind of mindset there. But if we're going based off of what he did in Chicago and Pittsburgh, him holding the ball too long at Jets camp, kind of the MO, kind of what he is and kind of what he does. But he has made some really strong plays. He is a runner, very clearly. He's going to add a new dynamic to the Jets offense that the Jets have not had in team history, I would argue. You have not had a quarterback that can run like this, and it's going to bring butts in the seats. It's going to put people and make people excited about the offense. They're going to make some flashy plays in 2025. It's just a matter of how consistently they do, and that's going to come down to Justin Fields as a passer. There are some plays, one particular one on Thursday, he faced the rush, and he threw a dart over the middle of the field to Mason Taylor. It was a beautiful play, a beautiful throw, no notes whatsoever. He was great. There were other plays where he's holding the ball too long, and you're kind of like, okay, what's he trying to do here? What's he trying to see? And it didn't really work out. So it's kind of touch and go with Fields right now, to be expected. Like I said, he's learning a new playbook, but those are the kind of guys that you have to look at right now throughout OTAs.
Oh, that's some pretty exciting stuff. Let me ask you about this, because this saw Zach Rosenblatt included this in one of his pieces 2 or 3 weeks ago, that Jermaine Johnson's been working off on a side field, and the Jets' plan is to basically hold him out until training camp and not rush him back. Can you confirm that that's the plan for JJ, who's coming off obviously a torn Achilles? It sounds like the Jets just really don't want to rush this, which makes a lot of sense, because not a whole heck of a lot is happening right now until we get to training camp.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for the team in general, mostly because why are you going to force a young player back that you are relying on to be a key part of your defense? I mean, right now, the edge rushers in New York, Rain Johnson, Will McDonald. You don't really know what you have in Michael Clemens, or you really do, and you kind of just don't want to have to deal with that again. And you're kind of just at a point now where it's, okay, we need to make sure both of these guys are healthy going into the new season, particularly Johnson, because he's in line for a contract extension this year, but going into next year as well. So Johnson continues to rehab. They are very smart not to sort of rush this whatsoever. You're going to see this, I think, with a lot of players that are recovering from certain injuries. Listen, this is not the time of year to look at, well, what about this and what about that and all these other different things. Mandatory minicamp is usually a good demarcation point of where the team is before training camp. But then you have a good, 30, 40 days before the start of training camp, nice window where nothing is going on. So wait to see, in my opinion, where these guys are at the start of training camp before there's any sort of concern.
Nick Faria, the third best edge rusher on the Jets, is who?
Oh, man, that's tough. They probably need to pick one up, I would say.
I see. Okay,
I
there
would
you go.
probably say that. But I do think Tyler Barron's going to be a much more impactful player than I think people give credit for. The comp for me always was JFM, the ability to be a run defender, but also a situational pass rusher. And if the Jets can get Barron in JFM, or JFM and a guy like Barron, they will take that to the bank, because JFM had a great year in Denver. Really, really solid overall player. And Barron, of course, a late round pick. Anytime you get an edge rusher who can produce at any level early in his career, that is a big time plus. So I think Tyler Barron could be. I think, you want to trust some of the interior guys as well to be able to rush the passer. But that's a big question mark going in. That defensive line, I think schematically it's going to make things better. From a coaching standpoint, they will be better. But from a player standpoint, there are a lot of questions.
Speaking of scheme, we're talking about third edge rusher. Were the Jets at all involved in this Bryce Huff trade stuff, or was it just almost like it was Lakers, Dallas Mavericks? Hey, 49ers, we're going to work this out with you. You want him. We want to get rid of him. Boom, boom, boom. You figure it out in the back room, because I know that the scheme is different with the Jets, but Steve Wilkes continues to say, stop worrying about scheme, you beat reporters. It's play style. It's our thing. We're going to morph what we do to the players. So they've been sort of avoiding all these questions. It sounds like they've been instructing their players to avoid answering questions from offensive line scheme to John Simpson. I'm not going to get into all that, to the pass rusher saying. It seems like there's a lot of mystery, a lot of, shroud of action happening here. Were the Jets at all involved in a Bryce Huff family reunion, a year later?
From my understanding, this was kind of a thing where the Eagles just wanted to get rid of him, and it was more of okay, where do you want to go? And he's
Okay. Oh, all right.
like, okay, yeah, the place where I had 10 sacks, the scheme I had 10 sacks, the wide nine that was perfect for him and really nothing else. And that's kind of, listen, you know, we look at GMs in the sort of aura of their mistakes and all the things they do wrong. You look at Joe Douglas, everyone ignores the things that he did well because of all the things he did poorly. He didn't get the coach right, didn't get the quarterback right, really whiffed on some free agents. Howie Roseman, he has some whiffs, guys. He misses sometimes. The interesting thing is the fact that this is probably one of the worst free agent signings he's ever made, and they go out and win the Super Bowl that year. Right? It's Howie for you. It's what happens. You know, I'll take another victory lap if I need to. But you look at Bryce Huff. He's more of a schematical guy. He fits one particular scheme. The Jets are looking for guys who can fit different schemes. I think, in my opinion, great coaches, the best coaches out there, have different schemes that they can utilize for different players. And you are seeing early on the Steve Wilks blitzing, the zone blitz type of scheme being married with the Aaron Glenn pressure, get up on the line of scrimmage and just maul these guys to death. It's marrying very well. And that's the kind of thing you're looking for, where if you can have two different schemes like this, and all these players are aligned with these types of schemes, you can run multiple sets and be very, very difficult to score on offense, kind of like what the New England Patriots were. The Patriots defense looked different every single week, and it didn't really matter the players they were having. They were consistently good at not giving up points, because some days they were a 3-4 defense. Some days they were a press defense. Some days they were a 4-3 defense. Some days they were 46 defense. It did not matter. They used so many different ways to confuse offenses, and I think that's kind of what the Jets are looking for here. They want to run a multiple set so they can confuse the opposition no matter who they play.
And hey, I'm all aboard that. Let's confuse and disarray out there in the universe, baby. We have 400 people watching the show. Thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. That's a free way to contribute today's show. If you have questions for Nick Faria, make sure you guys super chat or send those in. We're about to open up the phone lines and allow you crazies to once again join the octagon with Nick Faria. Is this good news or bad news? Well, I guess we're about to find out. Quick half time out. More coming up.
Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go!
Well, we'll finally answer the HEP call. It says, watch Jets football with Boy Green. We're hosting a massive tailgate Jets game spectacular. That'll be week 5, New York Jets, Dallas Cowboys, Sunday, October 5th at 1 p.m. We're going to have a massive party in the parking lot, food catered by the one and only Chef Kevin Gilbert. He'll be joining us there. And then, again, you guys will all get to sit with us. All the details in the YouTube description down below on how you guys can join in on all the fun. Phone lines are open. That is youtube.com/boygreen25. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And also for our audio-only listeners, give a big shout-out to you guys as we filter in some questions with Nick before we end up wrapping up the show here. I got this one in from Philium, who asked you, Nick, do you think that they may play some sort of hybrid 4-4 defense? Because, again, there is 3-4 and 4-3 in the backgrounds of both Steve Wilks and Aaron Glenn. So we're all trying to speculate and guess what it's going to be. How do they best maximize the talent of this team? I've heard Phillian bring this up before. What say you, Nick?
I don't think they're going to run a 4-4. I think the 4-4 is very outdated in a way.
Okay.
Because what are you going to run 4-4 against when teams are essentially begging to run the football? I mean, you would want to have as many guys in the box, but you're going to trust a safety to be that additional guy in the box. I don't think they're going to run a traditional 4-4, but I do think these kinds of ideas are what's going to be brought up because they want to run multiple looks, because they want to do different things. I don't think the 4-4 is really NFL ready, but certainly something that they can consider.
All right, let me ask you this. This is coming off a Rich Cimini note he had in his column. He's mentioned this a bunch of times. When the 2024 season was over, Rich brought up like the shitty run defense to NFL executives and other people in his circle. And they said, well, yeah, okay, the Jets might have been screwing up a bunch of stuff here, but some of those people reach out to Rich and said they believed it was schematic related. That like sometimes in Salah's scheme, particularly, you mentioned some of the wide nine stuff, they're like a bunch of rabid dogs trying to get pass rush, and that they would, ditch some of these run defense responsibilities. And some people believe that this AG scheme is that with so much of a focus on stopping the run, that just by virtue of that change in coaching, that they should be better, even if all the schematics or all the pieces, were the same, even though they're not. Hassan Reddick, blessed be he, and everyone else who left this team this offseason, like Javon Kinlaw and others, they've switched out talent. So obviously it's not exactly the same. But is there something to buy in that, or do you sell that just based on the switching of coaching, we could by default get better run defense?
I don't just buy it. I mean, that's the MO here. That's the whole reason why you bring a guy like Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes in. They are, in my opinion, just better schematically. You look at Robert Saleh, the intensity that he brings as a defensive coach. A lot of the success he had in San Francisco came in large part because he had great players. The scheme didn't really fit. It was more of just the wide nine, cover three looks. We're going to rush the passer as often as possible. If you want to run the ball, great. That's perfectly fine. We'll give that up, but we'll still be really, really good in the red zone. And when the Jets were good under Saleh, that was essentially how it happened. They would give up a lot of runs, but once they got into the red zone, everything got tightened up because the field's shorter, and you're essentially just sort of suffocating your opponent. That's when they were great. That's when this defense was great. I think there's the potential here with this scheme, with this coaching staff, to be consistently great, all-time great, all the way around, both against the run and against the pass. Remember, there's not many teams in the NFL that employ a lockdown corner like Sauce Gardner. Even in his worst season, which was last year, even in his worst year, metrics, and they are Pro Bowl metrics. They weren't all pro, but they were Pro Bowl metrics. If his worst season is a Pro Bowl season, you got a really good player here. You got two really good linebackers. You have an all-pro defensive tackle and edge rushers that you can rely on consistently. This notion that the Jets are not talented enough to win, I think, is very, very foolish. They had the talent last year. They had the talent the year before. They have the talent this year. The big problem over this span has been coaching. And I think if Aaron Glenn continues on this path, that this coaching staff continues to sort of run with this same mindset, you are looking at a much more buttoned up team, a much better team, and a far more exciting roster going forward.
Well, I'm all for all of that. And I bet this guy is too. Let's go to the phone lines. Hep joins us here on the program. What's up, Hep?
Hey, Nick. Hey, Paul. Good
Hey,
to see you back, Nick. Nick, I'm a big fan of Arian Smith and also JF7. And I think that JF7's big arm pairs up well with Smith. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to open up the underneath stuff?
I think it could. I do want to make a point, though, and remind everyone that Justin Fields, he's a one-read guy, and that's been his MO. And that one read is going to be Garrett Wilson. And if it's Garrett Wilson, it's going to be the tight end. That's always been his sort of MO. That's been his career out in Chicago and in Pittsburgh. I think if you're looking at maybe a couple touches a game for the wide receiver 2s, the wide receiver 3s of the world, it absolutely could be a deep shot to Arian Smith. That could be part of the game plan. They're also going to get creative in the run game as well. They've got a collection of running backs that they trust. Smith could play a part in it. Justin Fields will play a part in it. It's all just going to come down to how this offense looks once the games actually start, because they're being very coy about it, rightfully so. New staff, new everything. You want to be as quiet as possible. But certainly, the early returns are very, very high on Smith. I think less so on Fields just because he's learning this offense specifically. There's more on his plate. But certainly you see the potential that he can be a solid starter in this league. It's just a matter of putting it all together.
I'm curious about this GoPro and the taking the non-contact reps. I heard something that what they do is they speed it up. And that what that does is when he gets used to doing it at a high speed, he goes into the game, the whole game slows down. Is there any truth to that?
So Jaden Daniels and the Commanders did something similar to this, where they used VR, and I don't think it was AI, but it was sort of a VR headset
Yeah,
where
VR, right?
the coverages go through the reads. I don't think it's quite like that, from my understanding, but it's a wrinkle to this that adds a new way of developing a quarterback. I don't know if Detroit did this. That'll be something I have to look up. But if Jared Goff was able to use it and have some of the best years of his career, it makes a lot of sense they want to do this with Justin Fields. So the Jets are pulling out all the stops here. They want to build a system, and that's the important thing. They are building a system that works for every player. The best coaches that I have seen in my lifetime, best coaches that I have seen as an NFL reporter, are guys that run systems in place, not schemes, but systems that allow players to develop in their own way, not a team's way, but in their own way. And the scheme sort of marries to that, to those particular players. So I think something like that absolutely can happen with Fields.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Paul, one last question. Did you hire that guy that identifies as a cat?
I can neither confirm nor deny those reports.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Peace out.
There you go. Joining us here on the program. Unbelievable. All right, let's go next. Again, we got 400 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. Again, also show your love for Nick Faria. His reports have been terrific, both for Athlon Sports and Jets X Factor. Has been spreading the love. I love that. So make sure you guys, the best place to do it has been Twitter for me, because that's where everything has been in one convenient place. So again, Nick_Faria 1720 is the handle for that on the Twitter sphere. Make sure you hit the follow button as you're reading these columns. That's where I've been catching up, no matter which medium he happened to be writing for. I've been able to catch it all right there, which has been terrific. All right, next phone call. Scotty Mayhem joins us. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, BG, how you doing? Nick, great insights. Makes it this dead time of year so much better hearing all your insights on the Jets. So thank you for all that you're sharing. I have a couple of observations. I wanted to get your take on, what you see in terms of coaching staff. I think in the NFL, coaching is the most important, part of a team, more so than in any other sport. I think it can make the biggest difference. I mean, last year we had what was, a top 5 roster, and such hellacious coaching just mismanaged the whole team. It was unfortunate. So I just want to get your take on that. It seems to me there's a lot of players that have positional flexibility, and I like, the depth that the team is, putting together, on these one-year contracts. What is your thought in terms of what Coach Glenn and the rest of the staff could bring to the table? I just thought with the staff we had last year, it was so dismal. It was so disappointing. And I think that's where a lot of Jet fans are, in their mind. What do you think this coaching staff is going to bring to the table? And do you agree that with a lesser roster, perhaps we can even be better?
It's absolutely the case. That's actually what I've been arguing now. I think they're going to win 9 games. I
love it. I love it.
Like that. And it's not to say that this team is, bad or less talented. I think the coaching is just a lot better. I really do. They look more buttoned up this year than they ever have before. They are more prepared on the offensive end. They're more buttoned up on the defensive end. The pressure's been getting there in OTAs. I thought that was pretty important without pads. So, and again, this is all my opinion. They could go out and start 1-5, and everyone's just sort of running away, and they want to get Aaron Glenn fired after one season, whatever it is. It really does, to me, seem like he is trying to build something similar to what Parcells did in the late 90s, what he did with the Cowboys in the 2000s as well, and what he did in Miami. People kind of forget what the help that he provided for the Miami Dolphins during the late 2000s. I think it's something that you could see right away. And maybe it doesn't start out with a bunch of wins. Maybe it's just about the quality of play, where they're in a lot of these games and they're learning how to win. That's the next step in the process for a 5-win team. But this coaching staff, to me, has passed all tests that they have had to this point. It is their team. It is their system. It is their focus on the roster. And they are building this in their image, and that's all you can ask for at this point. We don't know if Aaron Glenn is going to be good. We don't know if Tanner Angstrand is going to be good. We have no idea. There's no sense in arguing if he will or won't just based on our overall opinions. We have no idea. What we can say is that the process that they have worked with far more intentional, far more instructional. And I do think that's going to be a very big help to a young team like this going into the season.
I mean, we can say what looks bad. I mean, we've had bad for the last 3 years. I mean, there was no in-game management, the same mental mistakes. To me, Salah, is a really good player developer, but he's a really bad HC. I mean, he wanted to be liked, and I don't think you can, have that as your aspiration as a head coach to, take your team to the next level. I look at this team more so in like the Rex Ryan, first year. I mean, he wasn't a head coach. Not the same personality. I mean, he was very bombastic, but, a guy who got the most out of his players and really had an idea of what he wanted. I think Justin Fields is going to be better than Mark Sanchez for this reason. I mean, Sanchez was a talented quarterback, but they went to the championship, AFC championship back-to-back years, but we were hearing stories about Sanchez having 3 girls in a room, during the playoffs. I mean, I think you have a situation with Justin Fields where he is all in. He wants to make not just himself better, but his teammates better. And I think the thing about Fields is if you simplify things for him until he gets his arms around the system, he's just so freaking dynamic. I mean, he can win games with his legs. I think they're going to win a lot of ugly games. I suggested, a couple of weeks ago, I see a wild card team. So I'm right there with you. I think 9 or 10 wins are definitely in the ballpark. But yeah, we have to give Glenn some time. But I love his staff. It's totally different. I mean, when you have Keith Carter, who is being lambasted around the league, and you as the head coach can't make that change, that's what we've been dealing with. So keep the insights coming. It gives us hope, that Arian Smith is going to be that gem. I mean, there's no doubt he has the speed, but can he catch the ball? That's what all Jet fans want. So,
amen. Well, Scotty, thanks for the call. First off, I've never heard that Mark Sanchez 3 girls in a hotel room story, but Sanchez stock up, I guess. Bingo. Thank you for sharing that. That's the first I've ever heard of that, but God bless, I guess. All right, not really sure how to transition from that, but Indy Jets is on the show next. Indy, yeah.
You always transition from Scotty to me, so I mean it's kind of a natural thing. Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning,
Nick. You think this is a 9-win team?
I think there's the potential for this to be a 9-win team. I think 7, 8, 9, right around there. That ballpark is where they're going to be.
And the only thing I would say to that is I think that's the floor.
Floor. Wow. Okay.
And here's why. And Nick, you're an analyst guy. You like numbers. Was there anybody on our team last year that played up to their normal potential? Or they're like Sauce. He had a down year. I think everybody had a down year.
John Simpson had an awesome year. Pour one out for John Simpson, our left guard. That's who you want to circle when you ask that kind of question. John Simpson, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, that right. And when I speak of that, I'm talking more along the playmaker guys. I'm not talking about the trench guys. Did even Garrett Wilson didn't have a outstanding year. He had a normal year, but everybody else pretty much had a down year.
Jamie and Sherwood, salute to the Sherwood.
Sherwood had a better year for him, but if you put CJ Mosley back in there as a healthy CJ Mosley, is Jamie and Sherwood that good?
Does he ever get paid? I think that's a good question. Because
exactly.
Literally, he wasn't even in line to do anything. Mosley gets all these injuries, and they're like, Jamie, slap on the tush, get your ass in there, and look what happened.
Mosley was a great leader. The defense lost the leadership. JJ out. Mosley out, and we didn't have the leadership and coaching, and we didn't have the leadership on the field. And on the offensive side, the guy that we thought was going to be the leader, Aaron Rodgers, turned out to be that he just couldn't elevate anybody anymore. And so I think that what you see out of Aaron Glenn, we say we don't know what Aaron Glenn is. What we do know Aaron Glenn is a motivator. We don't know how he is as a coach.
Sure.
As a head coach, but we know how he is as a defense. Just like when Robert Saleh came in, he was kind of a gun-ho kind of guy too at first.
Yeah, right.
He was out on the field. Him and Joe Douglas. You remember seeing the pictures of him and Joe Douglas together, and they're walking the field and talking to the players. That first year, he was involved, engaged, and look what happened. And so I look at it like this: with Aaron Glenn, we already know he's a better coach just by the addition. It's an addition by subtraction. Saleh he went downhill. The players around him went downhill. And I think that when these players come back up to Quinnen Williams didn't even have a great year like he'd had in the past. So once all these players come back up to playing to their potential, look at Sauce. He put on some weight too, did he not?
Looks far more physical.
He looks bulked up.
Right. And yeah, we lost DJ Reed, but I think we fixed that issue really easy. We had a offensive coordinator that didn't realize our running back could catch out of the backfield. It just boggles the mind. And so to sit here and have and not have those coaches and not have some of those, I shouldn't say some of those players. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think was a true leader. I don't think he was a great leader in Green Bay, and I don't think he was not a good leader here. So we won 5 games, and we won 5 games with injuries, poor leadership, and poor coaching. If 5 games with all that, and you eliminate each one of those, obviously, the floor would be greater than 5. The floor would be greater than 5.
I like that math. That math makes sense.
I mean, you've taken away all the negatives. You've brought in a coach that says, hey, we're going to focus on what the players do well. You're not going to fit my system. We're going to make a system on what my players do well. Do you agree with that? So if we eliminate all those things, our floor should be higher than 5.
Does that math, Nick Faria?
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So I get it. And if you had a different quarterback, I would say, sure. There are a lot of questions about Justin Fields, and there are a lot of questions about him as an actual thrower of the football. He's got a big arm. Absolutely, he's got a big arm, and he can run with the best of them. He's got to read a defense. And if he can't, you're looking at, in my opinion, I've continuously thought that this Jets team is going to look very similar to the 2021 Eagles. Again, yell at me for making that comp, whatever it is. But in 2021, that was the first year under Nick Sirianni. He comes in with the same mindset as Aaron Glenn. We're going to build a system around the players that we have. Jalen Hurts, it was his first year as a quarterback. They couldn't really throw the football. They started 3-5, but then they said, screw it. Let's just make ourselves into a running team. We have a really good offensive line. Let's just run the football consistently and win games with our defense making a couple of plays. What do they finish? 9-8. I think if you're looking at that as the cap for this first year, I think anything higher is probably, Bill Parcells went 9-7 his first year too. Saw the difference in coaching that he had compared to Rich Kotite. So I look at where the Jets are, they've certainly got the talent to be a lot better. They lost a lot of one-score games last year, which shows that the law of averages should be coming around. But that's
right
around 500 in my opinion.
Well, yeah, Nick, I will just say this. If you're going to compare us to any Eagles team, I will take 2021 over the 2012 Dream Team any day of the week. So God bless. Thank you very much. Prefer that one. Go ahead, Eddie.
With and you're comparing Justin Fields more to what Jalen Hurts was doing. And I kind of look at it as more like what Lamar Jackson is doing. Okay. And here's why. They're very similar run first quarterbacks. They had the mindset of they can't read defenses. I'm not saying he is, but Justin Fields rushing wise with the legs, you could compare him to what Lamar can do.
That's true. Okay. Just purely from running, Justin Fields is the second second best rushing season of an NFL quarterback of all time. Yes.
And early in Lamar's career, he couldn't read a defense if they held up the sign and told him what it was.
All right, go ahead, Nick. What do you have to say?
I think if we're trying to make comparisons of where Lamar was in his early career as a defense, he was very raw. He was still light years better than what Justin Fields has been
in reading defenses and passing.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Andy. When you look at Justin Fields on tape, he's had the weapons. He's had the offensive line. He's had all that in Chicago. He had
offensive line in Chicago. Now, come on, Nick. You know better than that.
give him credit for. He had a much better O-line than people gave him credit for. Now, was it great? No, but Baltimore's offensive line hasn't really been the elite as well. They've made it successful because of how good Lamar is. And that's the thing. If we want to talk about Justin Fields as a runner, absolutely. He's going to put butts in the seats. He can win a couple of games for you with his leg.
Right.
As a passer, though, he comes from a quarterback draft class that is, in my opinion, one of the worst in NFL history because everyone thought this was the next great group, and every single one of them has struggled. Every one. Throw in Trevor Lawrence because this
100%.
people were talking about being like Andrew Luck and all these guys, and he's had one playoff win. One playoff win looked bad in a lot of games. Really, really bad with offensive-minded coaching. So maybe it changes with Liam Cohen, but Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, these guys are not good quarterbacks, and they have to show a lot. Maybe it's because they were in bad systems, but Justin Fields is on his third team in as many years. The Steelers
I agree. Yeah.
And said, we think we can be better with Russell Wilson. Let's roll with him instead. If they were so confident in Justin Fields as a player and as a winner and as a quarterback, they would have said to Russell, listen, you've been Wally Pipped. You've been Wally Pipped. Sorry, dude, it happens. But that's not what happened. They went 4-2, and the offense averaged under 20 points a game. That's not going to cut it. There are legitimate concerns with Justin Fields, far more than probably any other quarterback really in the AFC East in general. I think he's probably the worst right now going into this season objectively. If he can show he can develop as a passer, then he can certainly get better in those conversations. But I have not seen anything from his previous tape that shows he can be the one to do that. He's going to need a system very similar, like I said, to Jalen Hurts in 2021, where it is tailor-made to 1-2 reads and get the hell out of there.
Absolutely. And if that's, again, you go to his strengths and what he did in Pittsburgh, I don't believe Mike Tomlin is not a quarterback coach. I mean, he's never done. He inherited a Super Bowl winning team, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And once he won one, he's not done anything since. And he's drafted a couple of them. So when Mike Tomlin makes a decision on a quarterback, I'm not really going to put a whole lot of weight into that was probably a good decision because he's not made good decisions on quarterbacks. Correct?
But listen, you're talking to the number one Mike Tomlin hater on the planet. So,
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Overrated for what he is.
Right. I just think this year that 8-9, 9-8, that last game in Buffalo could flip you over to 9-8 over 8-9. If Buffalo's, already got the number one seed or got their playoff seeding already done, and so that could flip us. But I think that 8-9, 9-8 is our floor. You steal a couple of games like Cincinnati. There's a few games out there that you could steal. Hey, you could put that at easily a 10-win team, or you could easily be I just don't see 6 wins. I don't see 7 wins. I think a 9, 8, 9, 10-win team is where our floor should be.
If Justin Fields is bad, if he is bad, this isn't a 6-win team. This is probably a 3-win team. There
you go.
Going to rely heavily on the quarterback. If he can get the football out wide, you're going to be able to win. But if he's like Anthony Richardson type where he can't throw the football and his completion percentage is barely over 50%, this is going to be a rough year. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. Most people do not think. Most people look at Justin Fields and say, well, his completion percentage has improved in every single year. Objectively, it's improved every single year. You put it around him that focuses on his skill set only, you can win a lot more games. This is a team that won only 5 last year, but lost a lot of one-score fluky kind of games because the kicker missed a couple field goals. The coaches were terrible. The quarterback turned the ball over at the wrong time. You turn a couple of these games over, 5 wins turns to 8 or 9 in the blink of an eye.
That's a fair point. Nick, I want to thank you so much for making your return here to Boy Green Daily. The fans still remember your name. That has not forgotten, and that's for sure. For both good and bad reasons, apparently, there in the comment section. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have you every Monday moving forward in this 8 to 9 time slot. Give us any plugs of stuff you have coming up this week.
Yeah, so we got OTAs tomorrow. That's going to be the big one. We'll have a bunch of articles coming out on Athlon Sports with that. And we'll have additional pieces throughout the week as well on probably Jets X Factor. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun. Mandatory minicamp the week after. So it's going to get exciting and fast, really in a hurry.
All right, awesome. Nick, thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
There he is, Nick Faria. Again, he'll be joining us every Monday moving forward from that 8 to 9 window. We're going to wrap up the show here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We have 500 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. I'm in the hotel room. I'm about to go get ready for the wedding, and we'll have that going on. But a couple of last moment things here. As Luca says, get your money in, people. Boy Green is collecting. Looking forward to everyone who's coming. That is for the Jets Cowboys tailgate. Again, I've reached out to several of you. I'm still waiting to hear back on a couple of people that, again, I will give you guys some name shout outs here. Make sure you please check your email ASAP. I don't want you guys to miss out on the Jet ticket opportunities. Mahar Khalil, I'm waiting to hear back from you. Lee Van, I'm waiting to hear back from you. Eric Orengo, I'm waiting to hear back from you on here as well. So those are a couple of the people. We're still waiting. Nasir Strand, that's another one. We're waiting to hear back from a couple of you guys for the Jets Cowboys tickets. I'm coming to collect money because I have to give that to the Jets. So people, please make sure you're checking your emails. That's a very important thing. We're hosting the Jets tailgate and game spectacular. So Luca, good note here, absolutely, and he's pumped up for the tailgate. Doesn't want to skip the summer, but miss Jets football. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely awesome. It's going to be an elite experience and one we'll never forget. That's absolutely sure. So, guys, keep sending it. Shout out to Nick. Thank you for Lily for giving a shout out to Nick. I also want to give another shout out here to Jimmy Jets. You won our contest, Jimmy. You won our raffle for the month of May. Please reach out ASAP. I'll give you a couple of days to try to gather your thoughts and whatnot, but make sure you reach out ASAP. I'm driving home tomorrow from Massachusetts, so you have a little bit of time before I even ship this thing out. But Jimmy Jets won our contest. That's a commemorative game coin and the full-size NFL football. Congratulations on that. We'll have another contest. Anyone that's gifted here in early June will go to our next raffle that I'll announce when I get back home to New York. Appreciate it. We will end. I will let one more caller on. Why not? Some Johnny boy to finish us up. What's up, Johnny?
BG, what's going on, man? Good morning, brother. And shout out to Nick.
Hey, good
man.
morning, pal.
Yeah, I just wanted to real quick because I know you're about to head out. So
sure,
with the Justin Fields thing, right?
Yeah.
Why does the comparison constantly have to be Jackson, Jalen Hurts, et cetera, et cetera? Why can't he just be Justin Fields and let the kid rock and see what we have with him? You know, I think it's been very unfair for a dude to say that he's been in a position where they've made a scheme for him, which they never have. They've never built to his strength and everything. He finally has that with us. It seems like this organization somewhat believes in him and is trying to do that. That's what we got with the kid before we put him in the conversation with Lamar Jackson. Because when Lamar came out, right, Lamar can read defenses. He was doing it when he was ago, right? I mean, it wasn't that. Jalen Hurts came from Bama, right? Prior to that, I think I forgot where else he was going around.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
I just think like just let them rock. We got to be patient because the biggest issue with us is I understand it. We want it now. We want it now. The whole talk, everything that you and I have been saying from jump is we have no idea what the organization is going to do. We have no idea what Tanner's going to do. We have no idea what Wilkes is going to do. It's just a big toss up in the air right now. So am I somebody that believes that we're going to possibly win 9 games? I mean, yeah, why not? Why am I going to go out here and say, oh, it's 6 is the tops and all that? Then why the hell am I going to watch Jets football this season for 6 wins, 5 wins? Like, no, I want this team to succeed. And it seems like we got adults that are in the damn front office this time that are making real choices, real picks on that's all I wanted to say, man. So BG, I appreciate that, man. Have fun at the wedding. You know, electric slide, the whole 9, cha-cha. Do what you got to do, brother. Peace.
Damn straight. Appreciate you, Johnny. Thanks for capping us off here. I think it's a great message. It is unfair to Justin Fields. He's just compared to every other running quarterback of all time. Oh, Randall Cunningham, Lamar, Michael Vick, this, that, or the other. Justin, let Justin Fields be Justin Fields. Let Justin Fields be Justin Fields. We have 400 plus people in the room. We have 127 people on YouTube, but only 75 likes on YouTube. So people, the other 50 plus people that are in there, make sure you guys like the video, baby. It's a free way to contribute if you're liking the video on YouTube. So please make sure you do that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to a couple of these crazy days. I'll have one more of these Boy Green Daily shows in this very hotel room 24 hours from now on Boy Green Daily. And then immediately after, I'll be heading back to New York. So thanks, everybody, for all the support. It's been a lot of fun. Again, a massive shout out to J-Boy and the rest of the group that all donated memberships and everything else during the month of May. It was the second most successful raffle we've ever had. So, again, without you guys contributing to the show in that way, I can't do everything that I do. So not to get all soapboxy, but appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Again, another congratulations to Jimmy Jets. He won that raffle contest. Jimmy Jets, make sure you reach out to me on one of my social medias at BoyGreen25, at BOY Green the Color 25 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or just email me, paulaesdenjr@gmail.com with all your pertinent shipping information, first, last name, and all your shipping info, and we will get that over to you this week, baby. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy the week. I will not be on the radio show today or tomorrow, the Man Child Show, Boy Green. So if you guys are looking for me there, I will not be there with my wedding and travels and things of that nature. Another shout out to Nick Faria, who's rejoined us. Again, shout out to Luca, who really made that happen. He kept asking about it. So shout out to Luca. It's great to have Nick Faria back on the program. God bless everybody. Take care. And one last note, again, the people for the Jets Cowboys tailgate that is coming up on Sunday, October 5th, week 5. I have to collect the money. I know the game isn't for another 4 months, but the Jets collect the money well before that here in the month of June. The deadline is rapidly approaching. I want to make sure you guys get in. A few of you I've already heard from, but several people I have not. Again, another shout out to Mahar Khalil, Lee Van, let me see who else on here, Eric Orango, okay, and Nasir Stram. You guys I have not heard back from yet. We've got to collect the money. Please reach out to me ASAP, and we'll make that happen. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Take care.